Hello everyone, today I'm gonna be making the render that I posted a few weeks ago on my Instagram account in uncut footage, so let's go. Uh, I am going to be using Wacom Intuos graphics tablet for sculpting, but you can do it as well with a mouse or something. It's not necessary. For everything but sculpting and texture painting, I'm gonna be using a mouse, so don't stress about it. But it doesn't really matter, just to let you know. So, firstly, I'm gonna scale this, maybe apply scale so we don't run into problems later on. Gonna subdivide it a bit, as always. I am gonna try to recreate it almost exactly as I did it back then, but yeah. And then just drag some things down, maybe with proportional editing, drag some things up. And now, if you look from the side view, you basically can't see it. So that's not good. We gotta fix it. How do we fix it? Just add random shit. Okay, just select one vertex on proportional editing random, and just kind of maybe I'll make here. There's gonna be like a little path, so I'm gonna make it smaller here, maybe a little bit higher here, maybe drag it along the x-axis. You can basically make it up as you go. It's not really that doesn't matter that much. Just have a general picture about how it's gonna look in the very end, and it's gonna be okay. And now, believe it or not, that's all the modeling we need. Now I'm gonna go over to sculpting mode and turn on dynamic topology with constant detail. I don't like relative detail because it doesn't leave uniform geometry, so constant detail free for beginning is okay. And now we go on this crazy adventure. So maybe like drag it down here. I like using clay strips brush. I know, I'm a huge fan of the clay strips brush. Jesus, okay. Also, for just some preparation for smoothing, I'm gonna decrease the strength to like 0.3, because if you smooth too much, you're gonna leave a lot of detail behind. And because I am using a graphics tablet, the pressure is relative, so that's why maybe mouse users won't have this much control over the sculpting, but it's not that relevant. And okay, just making this like canal for the river. I'm gonna add the stones later, and here I'm gonna add like this little, I'm gonna call it cliff. I know it's not a cliff, but I'm gonna call it cliff because screw you English lovers or something. And just like that, we're gonna worry about everything that should look good later. Maybe add it here, and maybe decrease it here a little. You really shouldn't stress about it, but just like imagine like telling a story about how the terrain was done, and like I'm imagining like some dirt like fell down here or something, and I'm gonna make it like that. But on subdivision 3, it's really extremely irrelevant how it looks, because it may not even look like remotely similar in the end, just like this. Now you're getting the general shape, and you can change everything later. And because last time I made like a little path that led to the river that was supposed to be here, I didn't care enough to make the actual river, but hey, if you wanna make a river, go. I'm really not the one to judge you. Okay. And again, this doesn't look really good, but we're gonna worry about the sharp edges later. Okay, great. Maybe smooth it a little bit. See, I used 0.3 on smoothing, so it doesn't smooth out all of the detail, but just like the bumps, the big bumps or something. Okay. Because I don't want to make this 15-hour video, I'm gonna go to 10 resolution, which ideally you should go like 5 at a time or something, but nobody really does that. And now I'm gonna show you how I make the grass sculpting and how I make the rock sculpting. For grass, I just make like these little strips, smooth them out, and see, because I use small factor on the smooth brush, you get these like little waves that are, really amazing. Okay, and now I'm actually gonna start worrying about the sharpness of this, and they're basically, at least I'm really an amateur sculptor, but for making sharp corners, it's great to use the crease brush, but it can leave out these like pinched out corners, which doesn't look even slightly realistic. And so what you can do is drag down the pinch value, but I usually go about doing this like decrease it here and increase it a little bit here, and see, now I get the straight cut line like I want to, and it kind of works perfectly for most of the stuff that I've done. Okay, and again, I'm just gonna smooth it out because I'm gonna start adding like better detail when I'm at a resolution of like 50 or something, and because I imagine that like dirt was like falling down here. I'm gonna make like these waves of dirt that were like falling down or something. I don't know. Okay, also increase it here, decrease it here. Sorry, I've been smoothing it there. Doesn't really matter. You can always revert it. Maybe smooth it out a little bit here. Okay, great. Actually, not as great because it's like maybe like this. Now I'm getting like the more specific general shape, if I quote myself, but maybe I'm actually gonna use the crease brush for this corner because adding the bottom corners is a pain in the ass and a half. Great. See, now that actually worked. I didn't expect it to work that well. Maybe just a little bit here. You don't want to get those pinched out corners, but at the same time you want to get like something. Okay, great. Now I'm moving on to the lower parts of the thing. So I'm gonna make it, for now, I'm gonna make it flat here, because I'm gonna sculpt in a little path later. And just as I said before, there's like this little path that leads to the salvation of the water on the hike. Yeah, like when you're on a hike and you're like out of water, and then you see this like cold river and you're like, yeah! And like the people actually made like a path to here, just to get to the sweet, sweet water. And again here, for this, and for that. It's like, I'm not even gonna worry about this part over here because nobody's gonna really look at it. And probably in the later render, I'm not even gonna render from this side, so yeah. I mean, you won't be able to see this side from the render. I'm gonna render like this or something. I don't know. Okay, and as I did in the version that is on my Instagram, I'm gonna add like a boulder here. Maybe Shift C around here. And just like make some sharp lines, because it's a boulder, it doesn't care about smoothness. Although it has been in a river, but it's meant to look good, not realistic. And then, just to make my life a pain in the next 20 minutes, I am going to make a boulder here. You're gonna see why it's a pain in the ass in the next 10 minutes. Okay, great. Maybe decrease it here so water has like place to go. Okay, and I'm just gonna go over general detail run or something. Maybe shit. Okay, maybe like 0.5 2, because it still takes away a lot of detail. Let's try that again. Yeah, that's the one I want. See, it smooths out so it looks realistic, but not enough to make the detail go away. Okay, decrease it because now it's becoming a bump up there. See, and it's better. Not only is it better, it works better, looks better. Okay, yeah, it's better, it's the same thing. Okay, and now I'm gonna make like a little path here. I'm just gonna decrease it. If you want to make tires, make 2 of them like paths, and it's gonna look like tires. I know, really mind-blowing stuff. Okay, crazy. Maybe add some detail here. Okay, now I wasn't even in dynamic topology. Well, it doesn't matter. It still worked because I covered basically everything. Okay, maybe just make it look a little better. Okay, now I'm gonna go to 50 detail because now ideally I should go to 20 and like 30 and then like, but I'm not gonna bother that much. And with 50 detail, it's actually really fine detail. Now I can start making in like details. And I'm gonna show you 2 techniques that I use. One for rock, one for non-rock. Well, for non-rock I actually already showed you. But for rock, just like go nuts around it. And it doesn't really need to be that well because it depends on what you're doing. But I mean how you're gonna do it. But I am going to use displacement maps in the materials, so I don't need that much sculpting detail. Actually took a little too much here. Okay, just smooth it out. Okay, and see, now it looks kind of like a rock. And the #1 rule that I use when I sculpt is it doesn't have to look good, just enough of bad stuff, and if it's detailed enough it will look good. So just keep adding detail. And for the grass, as I said, I just do something like this, but I like to do like lines that are straight and then just smooth them out a little bit. Maybe go again like this. They have to follow like general direction, but just try not to make it obvious that you're sculpting. Like, see here where it ends in like a square, I'm just gonna do like over like that. Now it doesn't look like it. And now for the part here, like this little thing. Okay, maybe add it more here. I'm actually the more I press, the more it like adds details, and the larger the brush is. So that's like a perfect example. So my tablet is using pressure to determine whatever it's doing. Okay, maybe the cliff ends here. I should like something like this. Okay, and I'm gonna do this cliff as well, and then I'm gonna go over to the path. One mistake that you can make is like make the cliff too round. I am not gonna do that, so just make a big hole here. Okay, and now I'm gonna smooth it out a little more because I'm gonna add the detail again. Okay, great. And now same as before, do something like that, then that, and that. If you keep the lines sharp enough, it's gonna look like a rock. But don't, if you have too many lines, you're gonna need a lot of detail to fill it in. If you have too little lines, it's gonna look like lines. So the perfect is something like this, so you don't see like the individual strokes that you can see right here. So wherever there's like an obvious stroke, I'm looking at like, actually this one's good, but if you have like a stroke like that, just like control draw over it, and it's not gonna look like a draw anymore. But I like it better the way it was before, so I'm gonna, okay, great. Maybe I'm gonna do something like this here. Okay, great. Looks terrific. Again, the rule is, like, everyone who's ever worked in like a studio or something is probably screaming at me right now, like wishing I was dead. But I'm not going for perfect realism. I'm just looking for something that there's too much detail in it for you to notice if it's realistic or not. Which, in the end, is kind of the main goal in 3D if you're not like an educated professional. So screw you, studio workers, ruining my job. No, just kidding. Okay, now I'm gonna go over to path, and the same as before, I'm gonna make like this, not like a hole, but a decreased area where the walker should be. And now I'm imagining that some walkers go over here, some go to the river, some go away from the river, and there should be like this little triangle in the middle where nobody really steps. Okay, maybe like this. Okay, this. Maybe I'm gonna make my brush smaller. Do that. Maybe do that. Okay, actually I'm gonna make here like another cliff, so like the people who are walking have somewhere to go. Okay. Maybe just like Shift C little edge here. Again, this may not be realistic, but this gotta look good. Okay, great. I actually kinda like it. By the way, this technique, I use it for most of the renders that have terrain. Like, I know if you're like a beginner or something and you see sculpting, you just wanna like blow your brains out, but actually if you like semi know what to do, it actually can be fun. And you get much more better like renders or something than if you just like use the displacement map on a straight plane. Of course, I will use the displacement on this because like it's pretty detailed, man, and like correlates to the texture, and I really don't want to do texture painting. But like, you don't need much to make it look good. Okay, now back to the path. Okay, actually I'm gonna make this thing a little smaller. Actually kinda dig it. Get it? Because it's like I'm digging it. Okay. Not really. That was kinda cringe. Okay. And here is like another line between the rock and the ground, or like path or something, I don't know. Okay. So you can now kinda see where the path was supposed to be because it's like lower. Something, I don't know. Also, people who are right now screaming at me because I'm in perspective mode and not orthographic mode. It's like I really like orthographic mode, but I don't like it in sculpting. It just, I don't know, makes me feel weird. It's really retarded to explain, but like people who don't use orthographic will get it. I actually, for modeling, I prefer orthographic because you get much better view of what you're actually making. And for sculpting, I gotta make it look like good for the camera, something like that. Can't really explain it, but I use perspective view. Again, I'm gonna make like a little trick that I really like to do. It's kind of fun whenever I'm sculpting. I'm gonna add like a big chunk of rock here. Know what I mean? Probably don't. But I'm gonna make a big chunk of rock that's sticking out of this, like that, like that. And now I gotta make it flat with this. Okay, I gotta decrease it a little bit because of like, yeah. Okay. Kinda okay. And now I'm gonna do something similar for this side, like this. Again, it may look like I'm a professional here, but I'm really not, because I'm just using two same techniques for literally everything. And like for the rocks, I just go nuts around, like I have a seizure on my graphics tablet and I just draw this cliff. You really shouldn't stress about it much. Maybe smooth it out because here's like a grass or something. Okay. Great. Okay, now for the river part down here, because like I know about you, but I don't see much grass in rivers, so I'm gonna make like the bottom of the river like stone or something. So I'm gonna sculpt it as it's a rock, like it's between a rock and a hard place. I'm sorry again. I really don't know how to make improvised jokes. Okay, and for this, if I make it look round, it's gonna look like something, but probably not like a rock. So again, I just do that and that, and then decrease it. And you see, it kinda not really looks like a stone. And now I gotta imagine like how the water would flow. If I'm in top view, I prefer photographic. So like that. Like, you know what I mean? I mostly worry about the part where it's like hitting a rock and it's gotta look like it's flowing past it. Like that. Something like this. And then it continues its way. Like, yeah, this is kind of annoying to make because it's hard to make it look realistic. But if you got a sculpt water that's flowing around the rock, also for this specific part, I'm gonna use 70 resolution because, like, yeah, it's kind of low poly here. Okay, but to make it look like it's flowing around the rock, I know I find it a bit annoying. And now it's gotta flow like here. And then is here like a rock? No, okay. That's just my retarded sculpting from earlier. Okay, make it flow. And now it again has to go beside this rock. Actually gonna if you wanna make a lot of detail, use a mixture between sculpting and taking away detail, so like clicking and control clicking, and it will look kind of okay. Okay, I'm guessing that, yeah, gotta decrease this area here because it's still like water or something, and I kinda not really have a flow of the water, but still I'm gonna make it just smooth because water makes things smooth. That's kind of the #1 rule of water. Or not, kind of the only rule actually. I don't know. Okay. Now I'm gonna improvise the fuck out of this boulder. Oh shit, I dropped the F-bomb. I didn't mean to. Okay? It's... who can I blame? I can't blame anyone. Shit. Forgive me, YouTube, please. And yeah, for these boulders I'm not really putting in much thought. And here I'm gonna pretend like it's a grass thing. Go away, orthographic. The only thing that orthographic view is actually better at for sculpting is like this, where you have a line and you gotta sculpt it uniformly around this, or along that line. In that specific scenario it's better. So see, now it's drawing bigger lines here than here, or reverse, yeah, but like that it works. So no matter where I look at, I'm drawing the same thickness. Okay. I'm just like sculpting in detail, smoothing it out. It's not really a painful, mind-boggling process such as like node editing, but it is kind of fun though, and it's actually satisfying. I don't know about you, but I find it really satisfying if you're like going along a low poly surface and adding in detail. I'm gonna make like just one more rock here, and then we're done with the sculpting part. So this, maybe even like this. Okay, great. Okay, now I'm pretty much done for the sculpting part of things, so I'm gonna put away my graphics tablet for now, and I'm gonna go over to, I think, shading. Yeah. Okay, you can also shade smooth if it helps. If it doesn't, just like fuck you, I know. Shit, I did it again. Okay. I'm gonna get so demonetized. Now you can actually see where I forgot to sculpt some things, and just for sake of detail, I'm gonna go back, just like 2 small lines around where I forgot. I'm doing this with mouse, so it's acting like I have 1 pressure, which is a lot too much. Maybe just turn it off. Jesus! Why so strong? Brush? Okay, yeah, that's what about it. Okay, great. Okay, now I'm back here. And now you see we have basically uniform. I don't care about this part here, or this part here, or this part here. But now it's okay. You can just remesh it, but I won't. Okay, I'm gonna do it just to show you. Yeah, you can use remesh modifier, but in voxel mode it kind of gets a seizure. In sharp mode it kind of gets a seizure as well. And so what I like to use is the remesher right here. I'm not gonna remesh it, but you can go ahead and do it. I'm gonna do something really unholy that you should never ever do, but I'm gonna do it because I don't want to make this like a remeshing tutorial. I'm just gonna sculpt and put the materials on, but I'm just gonna subdivide it, and I know it's twice, but just forgive me, okay? I have seen, but forgive me, Blender community. Now there's gonna be like people with pitchforks around my house or something. Okay, I'm gonna go to preview mode, maybe in the render settings for Eevee, turn off everything so it's better performance, because I'm gonna have a lot of materials here. I'm gonna make a new material, I'm gonna call it, I don't know, and I have like textures prepared. So it's dirt. I'm gonna have two dirts that are gonna be mixed together. First I'm gonna import this one. All of these are actually 1K textures, otherwise my computer will get like a seizure from all the textures. I'm just gonna make like a simple material, group each one of the materials, and I hope it works. Okay, just to have a UV map, I'm gonna unwrap it just like this. It doesn't really matter because there's gonna be a lot of detail and a lot of materials, so you probably won't notice all the weird unwrapping artifacts. But again, you don't want, I won't unwrap it by making seams, because then you get, spoiler alert, seams. So now I just gotta wait for it to unwrap, because it's like 173 vertices. And I'm still waiting. Okay, great. It's unwrapped. Now I can mix these two together. Of course, you probably know how to set up principled or PBR materials, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. Mix the diffuse and ambient occlusion, multiply, and this factor controls how much of that ambient occlusion you're using. I'm gonna use like 0.7 because I don't really care. And for everything else, you gotta have it non-color data, or as Blender Guru would say, non-color data. And plug this one to roughness. I could import a specularity map for specular factor, but I'm not gonna for the sake of my memory. So I'm just gonna invert the roughness map, which is kind of the same thing but not really, but it's good enough for this case. And now you get these extremely realistic like reflections. Then I'm gonna have a normal map node, which is a lot better for than bump node, but only if you have an actual normal texture. So people learn to use normal maps. And again, like, I'm gonna set the strength to 3. Jesus Christ, it kind of ruined it though. Maybe back to 1. Okay, I'm gonna use it like 1. And now I'm gonna group this. I am going to import Blender Guru Polygon Uber mapping node that I freshly downloaded. And for anyone who doesn't know what it is, I have absolutely no reason not to use it, because it's amazing. Like, look at this. Let's say you have grid view, and then you can scale it, and you get these tiles. And you don't want these tiles, because if I use the UV from all of this, and I use this, you're gonna see there's a lot of tiling. You can notice it. It's annoying as hell. So, what did the Polygon team do to prevent this? They did mosaic rotation and mosaic noise. That makes it looking like it's grid. Also, I screwed up the game. I forgot to make the normal map non-color data, but now it is. Okay. I'm gonna maybe actually make it a little bit smaller, like let's say 5. Maybe a little bit big, like 7. Good enough. Okay, this is the first one of our, like this, and you can make this like scale, and then finally I'm gonna add displacement here, and in this piece of shit I'm gonna name it this displacement. Okay, and just to know what I'm doing, I'm gonna call this like mud. Okay, group number 1 completed. Now I gotta make 2 more. I'm just gonna speedrun it because now you know how to make it. And again, all of these textures are 1K because if they weren't, my computer would explode. I don't want that. This is the Jesus. Okay, this is the second time that I'm recording this. The first time it crashed because I used 4K textures, which there's really not much need for. Okay, mix this, set it to multiply, base color, and I actually saw a guy comment that you can use Ctrl-Shift-T and then just import, just select all textures, and it will make the material by itself. And it never really works for me. It works for some specific cases, but it has like trouble recognizing the names, and that's why I don't use it. And now you gotta watch 10 minutes of me just like making this. Maybe make this strength of like 3. Okay, kinda actually looks okay. As usual, texture coordinate, polygon overmapping node. Make sure to set UV as UV. I know, big surprise. Yeah, the only problem with the polygon overmapping node is it's kind of slow. But if you look at it, that's the math, so it has a reason to be slow. Also, I don't blame it because it's like really cool. Okay, again, 7 maybe. This one's actually like that. Mosaic noise, mosaic rotation. And again, works great. Group this, plug this into the scale, and then this is displacement. Jesus, okay. And now this is gonna be like moss. By the way, I'm using moss as grass because every time I use a grass texture, it tends to like kill itself and just like look horrible. Because moss is more like this uniform green color, as in grass, it has literally texture of like small beads or small like beads of grass or chunks of grass, but they're not actually in the physical space, so it looks fake as shit. And now just for the last material, principal BSDF, I like had a seizure writing it. I'm gonna use a rock, and this one's really simple, but it's my favorite rock texture in the world. You're gonna see why, because it's like, it's amazing. I love it, every part of it. But for this specific rock texture, I'm gonna invert it again for like specularity map, just for some gigs. I couldn't get like I couldn't get displacement texture, so I gotta do some unholy color ramping for displacement texture. Color ramping, yeah. And now plug this like the base color, or maybe I could do roughness, but I'm gonna do base color. And I don't know if you've seen, but all the other displacement textures are pretty white because they're racist, and I'm not gonna be that, so I'm gonna make this one white as well. Jesus, that joke. I'm sorry for that joke, but like I had to. Okay, Uh, now it kind of works. Okay, great. And now again, same unholy Uber mapping node, like UVs. And then again, just a texture coordinate node. And UV to UV. Again, scale it like 7 or something, mosaic rotation, mosaic mix. And again, works great. Group it, slider for the scale, output for displacement. This is displacement, gotta name it correctly. Great. Name it rock. Shit, sorry for that. Oh, rock, okay. And now comes the unholy curse sorcery that I'm gonna use for it, which is mixing them and displacement maps with texture maps. So texture, image texture, that I should make a new one, and it's gonna be moss. What's it called? How did I forget it? Moss mud factor, and I'm gonna make it 2K. So what's it? 2048, and it's gotta be black. Don't go into UV grid or that, because it's gotta be black. And because Blender kinda gets a seizure every time it gets a texture, I have to save it. So image, save, and doesn't really matter. Save. Gotta use the name so it remembers the name. And then I'm gonna duplicate it, new texture. I'm gonna make it everything rock factor, same kind of sorcery. And again, save it as whatever. Doesn't really matter where you save it, it just gotta be saved, otherwise the blender will like forget the texture midway through texture painting and like forget they exist and like reset them. It's really dumb. And now I just gotta mix this and then duplicate BSDF right here and make this one a factor. Jesus. Yeah, now it's gonna, the computer's gonna start having really seizures here, because like, yeah. No, I don't want this. Maybe right now it's actually better to go to unshaded mode. Okay, and now the trick that I use for texture painting to get like the performance out there is that you go here into texture, and now depending on what texture you selected, it's gonna display it. I select this one, and I have this one, and like, it's really amazing. Okay, also later on I'm gonna do the same kind of sorcery with these mix factors and shit with displacements, but for now I gotta get texture painting. So firstly, in the material you can select single image, so everything, or just moss mud factor. So now I'm gonna draw the line basically where mud is. So in the shading you can see that I'm gonna swap this, so wherever is white there's gonna be mud, wherever it's black it's gonna be moss. And I know it's really a big brain move, but I'm just as a demonstration gonna draw a big fat line over here, and then as you see I previewed this mix shader, and now it should display properly, I think. Where? Yes. So you see where I drew white, it made it mud, and yeah, amazing. Now I'm gonna split this because why the hell not? And now in texture painting mode, because we're in texture mode, like I did earlier, we have preview of the texture without it actually being rendered like it's a real image or something. And now I'm again gonna use my graphics tablet, firstly to draw this. Wait, what the hell? Okay, I'm gonna turn off pressure, so it has basically one pressure no matter what I do. And now comes the fun part, or actually less boring kind of part. Also, I'm gonna create bigger fall off. So here maybe I'm gonna use this one, preset. So it has kind of bigger fall off and like the mixes are like smooth or something. Okay, basically the only place where there's gonna be mud is where there's like this path, because it's like all walked over actually. And you don't really need to stress about it. It's here. Doesn't have to be really good. Okay, great. Okay. It's kind of a forgiving process because there's gonna be a lot of detail A in the actual like thing, and in the actual mesh, and B in the textures, so all of the like tiny mistakes are you can barely notice them. Also, if you want to quickly erase something, it's control click, and I'm actually wondering if it's just inverted. No, if you press control and drag, it's gonna draw black. Okay, great. And later on I'm gonna use some sorcery for like here, or actually right now. You can make texture and then create a new texture. So this is kind of the factor for where it draws. You see now that it's black, it doesn't draw anywhere. But now I'm gonna make it clouds with color ramp, and in the color ramp settings drag the black all the way here, white all the way here, maybe like this. Now just make some strokes around here. And now the bigger you make your brush, the bigger the white spots will be. Sometimes they're barely noticeable, but in the end it does kind of add up to this like randomness or something. And great. Okay, now I'm practically done shading or texture painting the first texture. So now in the second texture, you see that also yeah, now this is like a little preview what it looks like. Turn on this. Okay, and yeah, for the second factor, whatever is white is gonna be rock, whatever is black is gonna be whatever we had previously, so basically this material right here. And now I'm gonna go to texture painting mode again, use everything rock factor. Jesus. Also, before I do anything strange, this is my default HDRI. I'm gonna go to rendering, mud factor, and image, save. So it's kind of safe. Now you can basically see what I did earlier, what I drew earlier. Okay. Texture painting mode again. I'm not gonna draw over HDRI. what I am going to draw over is this factor. And now you can turn off the texture for now. Just draw it. Again, it's really forgiving process, don't stress about it. Then later on I'm gonna make these edges like actually better, because I'm gonna use the same kind of trick with this like texture just on the edges, so it's like crusty edges or something. I don't know, I really don't know how to explain it, but you're gonna see what I mean. I always use it because I don't know, great trick. Not only is it a great trick, but I learned it without a tutorial, so come on. Okay. Now I know that probably like 99.999% of people didn't even watch this part, so if you're like watching right now, congrats man, I love you. Or woman. Today I'm filming this on March 8th, so you can like man or woman. And like yeah, I love you. Thanks for waiting all this time and like watching me do this, whatever the hell is this. And make sure you paint from every angle, because every kind of mistake is really visible later on. It's kind of the downside. Also, I have just decided that I really do not care about the ground here, so down here is gonna be just grass. I'm not gonna make it rock. I'm gonna make these rocks rock, but not everything else. And again, I'm not gonna go into too much detail because I don't want this to be like a 10-hour video. So it's just gonna be like a regular 2-hour video or something. I don't know for how long I've been filming, but my sense of time tells me something like hour and a half, something, I don't know. And now you see we have another texture. Go to rendering mode, image, save. Now it's saved. Congratulations, you are a proud owner of something. Now you can do this unholy sorcery that I said I'm gonna do earlier. You can do everything. I'm gonna do this one. Okay. Use this texture that I made earlier. Control click over here. It's gonna make this like rough edges. Jesus. Okay. If you change your view, it's gonna change this. Okay, and for now it really looks retarded. So I'm gonna change the color ramp a bit. Know that you can really easily go too far. So like this should be enough. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And also I'm gonna turn up the depth. Okay, I love it. Okay, fantastic. Just this final side right here. Okay, great. I'm not gonna do like the rock part, because who the hell wants to do that? And instead I'm gonna go over to here and start positioning the camera. I'm also gonna put away my pencil now again for the second time this tutorial. And just checking in the shading tab, okay. And I'm gonna do mix RGB for the displacement factors, and ideally, not ideally, but it like should be the same. Just instead of using the shaders, we're gonna use the like displacement factors or something. Run this for a displacement node. Go in here. to the color to scale. Sorry, height. And like 0.1 height is still 0.05. This is usually the magic number for me. Also, in the material settings, under I think it's settings, changes to displacement and bump, because we have normal maps and displacement maps. So great. And now, Jesus, if I go to rendered mode and it screws everything up, I'm gonna cry. I swear to God, I'm gonna cry. Great. It didn't screw everything up. However, the stone texture looks horrible, like really horrible. Maybe I am gonna try to do something first. Maybe I'm probably gonna replace this, but I'm gonna remove the HDRI, slide the strength to 0, and add a light. Not any light, a sun. Jesus. I screwed up something in the shading of this, didn't I? Yeah, I forgot to throw in a normal map node. Jesus Christ, you were probably screaming at me for so long until I realized it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay, yeah, now it looks better. Jesus Christ, how did I not like see that? Okay, I'm gonna use strength of like 5. What the hell's happening? Okay, maybe I am going to use an HDRI. But I'm gonna do it properly. So I'm gonna use an HDRI that actually looks good. And has like the correct... that's the one I want. I want to have like a little sunset vibe sort of thing. I know. No, I don't want sim lights. Screw you, sim lights. I don't need any. Okay, I'm gonna open. Please save. Okay, I do have an HDRI folder here open. I'm really impressed by myself. This one is literally my favorite HDRI in the world. Like, it has this like sunset vibes, and it's dynamic enough to have like, yeah. Okay, and now I'm gonna Control T the hell out of this and rotate it on the Z-axis until it's the way I want it to be. Maybe I want it a little bit more sunset vibe. Yeah. Why is this mud so reflective? Jesus Christ. What the hell? Object. Mud, you doing okay? Is it because of specularity, man? Jesus Christ, now it's gonna reload the whole material. Also, yeah, this is the part where I usually start to make like little adjustments, and then even more little adjustments, and then I slowly die because of all the adjustments. No! Okay, great. Let's see, what can I do about this? The one thing that I wish Blender would change is that like every time you add the node, it doesn't recompile the whole material. What the hell was happening with this texture? I have absolutely no clue. I'm actually interested what was happening with this texture. It's like brown mud dry. Like value of 0.7 isn't that reflective. Like the average here is 0.7. I know, maybe because I used it. I don't know. Okay, just deal with it. I corrected it. It's okay. We don't need to stress over it. What I am gonna do is add a camera though. So just add a camera. Control Alt 0, number pad 0. Then N. Go to View. Lock View to Camera. And I'm gonna make like the same video render I did last time. Or maybe just for the beginning, I'm gonna make it like this. And also because it's square, you're not gonna believe it. I'm gonna make it square. GZZ. I sounded like Morty, like, oh jeez. Or nah, kind of works because I'm looking from an angle. And I don't know. Okay, fantastic. Now let's see how it looks in the render mode. Like, if you don't want to redo all of your materials and you want to correct them just a little bit, you can do it with hue saturation value node for the base color, and it actually does a solid job of like doing it or something. I don't know. I'm gonna make this rotation 60 degrees, so you get more of that like detail. Okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe 70 should be good. What the hell, good enough. Okay, now comes the part where my computer is gonna probably explode, so I am gonna save this in my Blender files under the name I really don't know. Great. Okay. I am actually gonna do some hue saturation value correction because it's too saturated and I don't want it to be too saturated, so hue saturation. Okay, I'm gonna desaturate it. Yeah, because if you oversaturate it, it's really easy to get carried away, but if you undersaturate it, you can always fix it later. And in this one, actually, I don't know what it is about this like rock material. I don't like it. I don't know why, but I don't like it. Screw it. Okay, now I'm gonna save it again and do the thing that will bring Ton Rosendale and every single person in the community in front of my door on my left with pitchforks. See this topology? I hate it, but okay, okay, hate me if you want, that's the truth. I subdivided twice. In case you didn't notice, I was making fun of people that like hate me for subdividing twice. I really don't like it because it leaves like a really bad topology, but I'm not gonna remesh this right now because it always screws something up and I don't want to deal with it right now. And then I would have to probably like bake in the normal maps, and again, not now. So now I just wait till it loads, and I'm just gonna snap like Thanos or the cool kids, and then it's gonna be loaded because I have the power of editing on my side. Okay, I'm back. See how that snap worked? Yeah, great. Okay, now I'm gonna go to just to see the topology. Oh Jesus, it's gonna screw up my computer. I wanna see the... Yeah, see, it makes these like hexagons or something, or these like circles, and I really don't like it, but for subdivision, it's okay. It's like, just for simple subdivision, I don't care. I just, Okay. Okay, now um gonna do a little bit of compositing actually. And for this I got a render. So great. Hope my computer doesn't crash. If it does crash, I am going to kill myself. And I'm of course joking, but you get the point. And yeah, it's probably gonna render for a while. So I'm gonna use another one of my special powers to snap the render out of existence. So like just like render being like I'm inevitable, and I'm like I am Manta for life. Okay, so now that it's rendered, I successfully snapped my way to the render, and now I'm just gonna show you a little trick that I use. Yeah, I use this denoiser. It's still in my default scene, even though I use the denoising in the render. Anyway, you can. One thing I always like to do when I'm making this is just adding a color balance node and contrast, a bright contrast node, and you can play around with the values to get the perfect results for you. However, I'm gonna use like always bump the contrast up just a little bit, maybe make the lift a little darker, make this a little greener, and of course you can do whatever you want with it. Really, I'm not gonna like chug or something, but you can do basically whatever with this. Also, I didn't use much of the displacement, but you can do that. Also, one thing that always makes everything look better is lens distortion. In some of my videos I make a joke about it, but now you're gonna see why I love it so much, because you have a ton of options here. I always check fit, because if you don't check fit, yeah, now you're gonna see what happens. If you uncheck fit and then like dispersion and distortion, see that there's like edges or something get screwed up. Now it's okay. Of course 0.1 is actually too much, so but what I like to do is put dispersion, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, dispersion to minus 0.1, and you can't like you can't slide it there, but you can drag it there. Oh, sorry, distortion. I'm sorry, distortion to minus 0.1, and it gives like the look that it's like fading out or something. Okay, and dispersion to like 0.1, or maybe 0.5. And yeah, but of course, if you do this, you're gonna lose the realism, and if that's not what you want, you can like go and like shit yourself. So, I know. Just gonna use this for now. Also, there are a ton of effects that you can do. You can like distort. You can like map UV. Let's see what this does. Okay, and like, what if I do this? What if I do this? Denoising normal. Interesting. That did nothing. I don't know. You can just go nuts with it. Thank you for watching. If even one person made it to here, thank you. And have fun recreating this if you're gonna recreate it. Otherwise, I don't know. Bye. Just go have fun in your life. Why are you still here? Go away. Go away.